Hey everybody, Josh here. So over the years, I've taken up more hobbies than I can remember, from gaming to surfing and everything in between. So today I'm gonna rank my hobbies based on a couple of factors on a tier list, with S being at the top and F being the worst hobby of all time. Now I do typically talk about tech on this channel, so if you're not subscribed already, definitely get subbed. But yeah, wanted to do a little something different. Our first hobby is gonna be surfing. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so for each hobby, I'm gonna have an item, sort of like a show and tell. I started surfing in 2020, sort of like at the peak of the pandemic. And so I wanted to get outside and do some hobby that was socially distanced, but also cheap. All you need is a wetsuit, which is like 200 bucks. And then like a beginner soft top longboard, which is like less than 200 bucks. So all in, a pretty cheap hobby considering like there are a bunch of other very expensive hobbies out there. Now, for those of you who don't surf or have never tried surfing, you sort of have this image of what a surfer is, right? Super jacked, catching a bunch of huge waves that are over your head. Whereas in reality, you actually spend 95% of the time, at least for a beginner, like paddling around. That's all you're doing. You're paddling. Paddling out to the lineup, which is where people are like sitting and waiting for the waves, paddling to catch a wave, and then just paddling to get good position. And as a beginner, you're actually gonna spend more time just falling and struggling, trying to find your balance on the board rather than on the board itself. I remember the first wave that I ever caught was because there's an old guy in the water with me. He actually pushed my board, like he got off his board, and then he pushed my board into that wave. I felt like I caught it, pushed down on the board, stood up, and it was the best feeling ever. It just felt like I was floating. And really the thing that stood out to me was just how peaceful and nice it was out on the ocean. Just seeing all the birds and seeing, otters. Now, some pros and cons of surfing. The pros, of course, it's relatively cheap. Also a bunch of health benefits like great cardio workouts. But then some cons to surfing. Most of America is landlocked, so there's not gonna be a lot of people who surf. And even within California, I don't really have any friends who surf because a lot of people are scared of like the open ocean, sharks and drowning. Those are all like valid fears, and like hitting your head on a rock. Yeah, now that I am saying that out loud, surfing is great. But yeah, surfing is not for the faint-hearted, and that's the only reason keeping me from putting it in S tier. So I'm gonna have to say surfing goes in A tier. Okay, next up we have another pandemic hobby, and this is film photography. I don't know about you, but during the pandemic, I felt like everybody was getting into film photography, and it was a niche that certainly like sort of blew up. So the pros of film photography: it is very mechanical. Everything from winding the film to advance it forward, to just clicking the shutter speed, to like manually changing all of your controls. It's a really tactile and physical thing that makes it feel really fun to play with. And then there's also like the mystery aspect of it, right? Obviously you can't see it right after you take the picture. You have to finish the whole roll. So there is like that mystery factor so that when you finally get the picture, it's always a great surprise. But then the cons of film photography, it is sort of like a dying breed of photography because it's getting expensive. Like to buy film, to pay for the developing and scanning, all of that can add up. And then you really have to love it to like stick with it. For me, I stopped doing film photography after like probably a couple of months. It was just getting a little bit expensive and I didn't find myself like shooting film that much. But yeah, this could be a controversial one. I'm gonna put film photography in C tier. Okay, next up we have gaming. And I mean, you guys know this. You guys know why gaming is awesome. It's a great way to connect with your friends. There's tons of games out there for everybody. I personally like games that are both competitive and also require teamwork. Valorant, it's a competitive esports shooter. CSGO, which is like another variation of that. And then Rocket League is like car soccer, which is pretty interesting. And then I also like simulation type games. Assetto Corsa, which is like a racing sim. On top of the social aspects of gaming, ranking up is incredibly fun and addictive. But I will say that gaming is also a double-edged sword. If you become addicted to games, it's gonna take a toll on you like physically and mentally and possibly emotionally. There's a lot of toxicity in certain types of games too, like trash talking, I'm sure you guys have seen. But yeah, with a healthy balance, gaming is one of my favorite hobbies. I'm gonna put gaming at S tier because I love gaming. It's a great way to hang out with friends. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on whether you game or not and how it has impacted your life. Now, on the flip side of that is going to the gym. Now, people go to the gym for different reasons, right? Either to lose weight or gain muscle or just for the mental aspects. Now, for me personally, my goals with the gym, I've always been a skinny guy, which I know is a first world problem. I know a lot of people struggle with the opposite. But yeah, mostly for me, going to the gym has to do with putting on more muscle and just like growing out of being insanely skinny. And the thing with going to the gym is you'll notice a curve, right? The first few months of going to the gym, you'll notice a lot of change. And then after a few months, you'll notice that start to taper, and then there's like sort of this diminishing returns. So there's mainly two problems I have with going to the gym. And the first one is I think I've reached that point where I'm seeing really slow progress, and that is a little bit demotivating. Is that a word? Demotivating? Unmotivating? But then also I think going to the gym is just like really boring. Lifting something up and down hundreds of times, not to mention the crowds. There's just other things I would rather be doing than going to the gym. I'm gonna put going to the gym at B tier. I do think that it is healthy to be getting some exercise. Okay, next up, my new hobby, riding a motorcycle. Recently, I got my M1 license to allow me to ride my motorcycle. I took the safety course, and then I got a 2019 Honda Rebel 500. And it has been a blast. Now, the one thing I was sort of like unprepared for was all the costs associated with riding a motorcycle. So buying the motorcycle, safety course, registration, insurance, tax, and then all of the gear. So your helmet, jacket, pants, boots, gloves, and then like a Bluetooth comm unit. But I do think that if you can get over all of those costs, it's a great way to not only experience the roads that you've driven hundreds of times, but also a great way to commute, save costs on fuel. Or if you're doing it for pleasure, it's a great way to just get out and ride with friends. Everything from the type of motorcycle that you choose, also like the gear that you choose. It's a great way to express yourself and show off your style and sort of like what you're into. Now, of course, riding a motorcycle is dangerous. That's why a lot of people might not get into it. I do think that 99% of accidents related to your motorcycle can be avoided. You only live once, and it's been great so far. So I'm gonna put motorcycles in A tier. Okay, the last one I wanna talk about is YouTube. And related to YouTube are sponsorships. So today's sponsor is Motorola. These are the Moto Buds 600 ANC, and they retail for $99. These buds are powered by Snapdragon sound technology with active noise canceling, 7 hours of battery life on a single charge, and an IPX5 rating, which makes these perfect for going to the gym. And also, my favorite feature is that they support multi-point connect. These are an excellent budget-friendly option that are comfortable, easy to use, and actually have really great audio quality. And I mean, for the price, you really can't do much better than this. So if you're interested in learning more or purchasing these buds, I'll have links down below for you to check out. All right, now let's get back to talking about YouTube. So you guys might not know this, but I actually quit my job last March. I decided that I would do YouTube full time. Tons of pros. You're your own boss, you make your own schedule. There's an incredibly high ceiling for success, right? You can scale your business and your income will scale with it. And if you find a niche that you really love talking about, like for me, I've always been into tech, I've always been a nerd, you won't actually feel like working. And that might sound cheesy, but you know how the saying goes, like if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. One of the most gratifying things about doing YouTube, at least for me, is being able to help people understand a product that they don't understand or make a better purchasing decision. And then the other thing that I love about YouTube is just seeing your comments about whether it was a great video and how much it helped you, or how terrible of a video it was, being humble and sort of taking all of the comments in a way that you see how you can improve in your next video. Now, of course, with YouTube, there are a bunch of cons as well. Being your own boss has its perks, but you're also not getting the stability of working at a company with a stable paycheck, 401k, health insurance, that's a big one. And like arguably, you have to work twice as hard, especially because you're wearing so many hats, like you're scripting, you're ideating, you're editing, you're filming, you're buying equipment, you're managing yourself, managing a bunch of projects at once, getting back to emails, all of that stuff. You already know. And so I think doing YouTube can be a hobby for a lot of people, but if you do want to do it full time, you do have to be very vigilant and very passionate and very consistent. You always have to be on top of it. And I love all of that stuff. And so on a more broader scale, I do think that with anything that you put your mind to, whether it is doing YouTube or getting that promotion. As long as you are hyper passionate and focused on your goals and putting in the work, I think that you can succeed. That is really what I believe in. So yeah, I'm gonna put YouTube in S tier. Now I do have a bunch more hobbies like these that I can't get to in just one video. If you guys wanna see a part 2, definitely leave a like. Again, definitely get subbed to the channel if you aren't already, and leave a comment. Let me know if you guys related to anything I said, whether it's about going to the gym or gaming, riding a motorcycle, surfing, or film and photography, whatever it is. Let me know your favorite hobbies down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.